Shalom. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rakwakadash. I want to give double honors to my apostles and elders that came before me, that brought me into this truth. This video is going to be called Babylon is Eating Itself Alive. Elon Musk states the only thing that will save America is AI. So we're going to go into a few different topics here. Really one, but we're going to go into this video here in specific. And then we're going to go into, we're going to use AI to see, to try to get some clarity on some questions. Alright. So let's go here. We got here goes this Joe Rogan, not a debate, but this Joe Rogan interview with Elon Musk. That was quite interesting. And this is where he makes this claim. Alright. Now, here we go. Oh, and before I do anything, fair use. This video is not monetized. I'll be getting no monetary compensation whatsoever from this video. This is for educational purposes only. Here we go.
One of the things you said when you stepped away is that you're kind of done and that it's unfixable. That, well, or under its current form, the way people are approaching it. You can make it directionally better, but ultimately you can't fully fix the system.
Boss. Obviously, the context here is in terms of, or post him leaving the federal government when he spearheaded the Doge project, or the Department of Government Efficiency project, and implicating, or alleging that Trump is implicated in the Epstein files.
So, it would be accurate to say that even, unless you could go like super draconian, like you know, Genghis Khan level on cutting waste and fraud, which you can't really do in a democratic country, an aspirationally democratic country, then but there's no way to solve the debt crisis. So we got national debt that's just insane, where the debt payments, the interest payments on the debt exceed our entire military budget.
Pause. So to put things in perspective, like you just mentioned, the interest alone is heavier, is more expensive, or has a higher cost or price tag than your entire military budget. Right?
I mean, that was one of the wake-up calls for me. I was like, wait a second, the interest on a national debt is bigger than the entire military budget, and growing. This is crazy. So even if you implement all these savings, you're only delaying the day of reckoning for when it...
Pause. So what he's saying is that the United States falling flat on its face, going into, well, quote unquote, third world country style of poverty. That's imminent, but it's just a matter of how close it is, or just a matter of timing.
America goes bankrupt. So, unless you go full Genghis Khan.
Boom, like he said, unless you go full Genghis Khan.
Which you can't really do. So I came to the conclusion that the only way to get us out of the debt crisis and to prevent America from going bankrupt is AI and robotics.
So the only way to prevent this is AI and robotics.
We need to grow the economy at a rate that allows us to pay off our debt. I guess people just generally don't appreciate the degree to which the government overspending is a problem. But even like the Social Security website, this is under the Biden administration. On the website, it would say like, we based on current demographic trends much money Social Security is bringing in versus how many Social Security recipients there are, because we have an aging population. Relatively speaking, the average age is increasing. Social Security will not be able to maintain its full payments, I think, by 2032.
So just to make it clear and to reiterate, the population is living longer and dying later. Okay? So with the amount of Social Security recipients, the amount that's being paid off, along with the accrued amount that's going to be paid off for these future recipients, it's just unstable. There's no way to guarantee that all these people are going to be receiving the social security benefits.
So Social Security will have to start reducing the amount of money that's been paid to people in about 7 years.
And so the only way to fix that, robotics, manufacturing, raise GDP.
You've got to basically massively increase the economic output, and the only way to do that is AI and robotics.
So, in case people didn't know, the United States is one of the leaders, if not the leader in oil exports. Let me see here. U.S. matter of fact, leader in oil exports. International. I spelled that wrong, but okay. So let's look here. Saudi Arabia is consistently the world's leading exporter of crude oil by value and volume, followed closely by Russia and the United States, though the United States is the largest overall producer but consumes much of its output. So, the United States produces the most oil, but it consumes a heavy portion of its own oil. Okay? But still, the United States is third largest exporter of oil. So the United States, with that, with a number like that, matter of fact, what does the U.S. lead in exports? Okay, so the U.S. leads globally in exporting high value. Let's go to the. Can I pull this up in the? Here we go. Services and digital trade. The U.S. remains the world's largest exporter of services, a category that includes finance, intellectual property, and professional services. Digital services. The U.S. leads by a wide margin in digital exports, which is software, cloud infrastructure, and digital platforms, exporting approximately $741 billion in 2024. Energy products, refined petroleum and gasoline, crude oil, what is this here? Liquefied natural gas, 320 billion, aerospace and transportation. So civilian aircraft and parts. This is a top value export category with exports reaching approximately 134 billion in 2024. Defense and space. The U.S. holds a dominant position in high-tech military hardware and space equipment. Agriculture, soybeans, and other staples. Other major exports include corn, beef, tree nuts, and dairy products. So we can see that the United States leads in a decent amount of industries here, or a decent amount of products here. Nonetheless, with all of that, that's still not enough to make up for this heavy amount of debt, this debt toll that the United States has accrued. Let's keep on going.
So basically, we're going bankrupt without AI and robotics, even with a bunch of savings. The savings, like reducing waste and fraud, can give us a longer runway, but it cannot ultimately pay off our national debt.
So what do you think that...
Pause. Hold on. Let's read that. Let's go back just to get that in perspective.
Manufacturing, raise GDP.
You've got to basically massively increase the economic output, and the only way to do that is AI and robotics. So basically, we're going bankrupt without AI and robotics, even with a bunch of savings. The savings, us a longer runway, but it cannot ultimately pay off our national debt.
So, what do you think the solution is to the jobs that are going to be lost because of AI and robotics? The jobs due to automation, the jobs due to no longer.
Pause. So, as he mentioned, the only way, again, even with cutting things like Social Security, other government entitlements like SNAP and what is it called, Section 8 and things like that, it's just simply not going to be enough. Like people have said in the past, just kicking a can down the road.
Do we need human beings to do these jobs because AI is doing them? Do you think it's going to be some sort of a universal basic income thing? Do you think there's going to be some other kind of solution that has to be implemented?
Now, obviously, leaning into the downside or the perceived downside of AI infrastructure and AI taking on large amounts of white-collar jobs and possibly some blue-collar jobs, or being at least integrated in these jobs.
Because a lot of people are going to be out of work, right?
I think there will be actually a high demand for jobs, but not necessarily the same jobs. So, I mean, this is actually, this process has been happening throughout modern history. I mean, there used to be, like doing calculations manually with like a pencil and paper used to be a job. So they used to have like buildings full of people called computers, where the banks would like, all you do all day is you do calculations because they didn't have computers. They didn't have digital computers that people use. Yeah. Well, it was just people would just like add and subtract stuff on a piece of paper, and that would be how banks would do, financial processing.
And you'd have to literally go over their equations to make sure the books are balanced.
Yeah.
Exactly. So Joe Rogan is kind of he's listening very intently, because Elon Musk is essentially saying that these jobs they'll be lost, but there'll be new ones that are going to replace them. And the only issue with that is that, who are going to take these jobs, how many jobs are really going to be needed, and at this point you're basically saying that AI is going to be taking these jobs and are going to be in place to take the jobs that would take over the jobs. So what are we really saying here? Like, who's going to really audit the work that AI is doing? Why not AI?
Most times it's processing.
And you'd have to literally go over their equations to make sure the books are balanced.
Yeah, and most times it's just simple math. Like, like in a world before computers, how did you calculate? How did you do transactions? You had to do them by hand.
Pause. Now Joe Rogan may also be saying or insinuating, because in the world of computing or coding, programming, and whatnot, AI can write code for you, and program program an application or whatever it may be. If there's an issue with the program, then you could use AI to correct it. But at the end of the day, you don't really have knowledge of how that's being formulated. Right? It's very important to understand that language that is being coded in, and being able to look it over yourself if that's the lane that you want to go down. So a actual manual overlook or overwatch of what's being done and what's being presented to you, so you actually know how to make modifications where it's necessary and not simply relying on a computer all day, is highly important. So that more than likely that's what he's leaning into. But at that point, I mean you've basically rendered a decent amount of these programmers obsolete, and you're just gonna have maybe one or two people that have, like, basically the job market is gonna be so scarce, in which there's only gonna be a few people that are gonna be able to take over these jobs. Like, it's gonna be so bare. I mean, what are you really going to be able to do? Like, nobody's going to be able to take over. Pardon me. What I'm trying to say is that there's going to be so little work that there's not going to be a significant amount of work for people to actually make an imprint on the job market. Like, there are going to be new jobs, but how many new jobs are there really going to be? All right, let's keep on going.
do something else. And that's what's going to happen. That's what is happening at an accelerated rate due to AI and then robotics.
That's the issue, though, right? The accelerated rate, because it's going to be.
It's the accelerator. It's just happening. Like I said, like AI is the supersonic tsunami. So that's what I call it, supersonic tsunami. So
it's like, what other jobs will be available that aren't?
And that's the question. That's a wonderful question. This supersonic tsunami, otherwise known as AI, is making such a big impact on the job market, where people are taking so many hits on the economy is taking such a great hit because people can't find work. I mean, what are these jobs that these people are going to be able to get into? And how soon are these jobs going to be available? Because right now people are starving. People have school loans that they have to pay off. People are being evicted. They're getting their vehicles repoed. This, that, and the third. People have families that they're not able to feed because they assume that they would have a job leaving college, and these entry-level positions that would be promised to a person that would graduate with a bachelor's or a master's degree or even a doctorate would be able to secure a decent income. Now that decent income is being snatched away from them because of artificial intelligence.
Aren't available now because of AI.
Well, AI is really still digital. Ultimately, AI can improve the productivity of humans who build things with their hands or do things with their hands, like plumb, literally.
But that's completely irrelevant. The issue is that the people that would have taken those entry-level or white-collar jobs, if they're not basically priced out of the market because it's cheaper to use artificial intelligence as opposed to paying a person a salary. What's in it for them? Like, where do they go?
Welding, electrical work, plumbing, anything that's physically moving atoms, like cooking food or farming or like anything that's physical. Those jobs will exist for a much longer time. But anything that is digital, which is like just someone at a computer doing something, AI is going to take over those jobs like lightning.
Coding, anything along those lines, yeah.
It's going to take over those jobs like lightning. Just like digital computers took over the job of people doing manual calculations, but much faster.
Right. So that was pretty much that. Now let's go into where was it? The debt. Okay. So we're just gonna look at the AI overview from Gemini. A simple question: how much debt is the U.S. in? As of January 2nd, 2026, the United States national debt, is approximately $38.5 trillion. Again, approximately, right? Now, out of his own mouth, Elon Musk said that the interest that has been accrued from this tremendous amount of debt has surpassed the government defense budget. All right, let's go in here where it reads, what factors are driving the United States national debt? All right, so let's look here. The primary driver of the United States national debt is a structural mismatch between federal spending and revenues, meaning the government consistently spends more than it collects in taxes. This persistent annual deficit necessitates borrowing, which accumulates over time into the national debt. The United States is not bringing in more money than it's pushing out, but in the form of taxes. The United States is not getting enough taxes to make up this deficit. It's that simple. Now let's look here. Key factors contributing to the imbalance include aging population, like you mentioned. The number of Americans aged 65 or older is increasing, which significantly drives up spending on entitlement programs like Social Security and Medicare. rising healthcare costs. The United States has the most expensive healthcare system among wealthy nations, and government spending on major healthcare programs like Medicare and Medicaid continues to climb faster than the overall economy, adding substantial pressure to the budget. Net interest on the debt. As the total debt grows and interest rates rise, the cost of servicing the debt escalates rapidly. Interest payments are now a major federal expense, even exceeding spending on national defense in some recent fiscal years, like Elon Musk mentioned in that interview with Joe Rogan. Here we go. Insufficient revenues. The current tax system does not generate enough revenue to cover the government's spending obligations and promised benefits. Tax cuts and various tax expenditures or breaks further reduce potential revenue. Like you saw over the summer with Trump's big, beautiful bill, more tax breaks for the rich. And I am indifferent to that. Nonetheless, that's one of the things that are driving up the national debt. Again, not because people are getting tax breaks, but it's because there's not enough taxes being brought into the United States government to actually off-put this amount of tremendous debt. Responses to major crises. Significant borrowing has occurred in response to national emergencies such as the 2008 Great Recession, COVID-19 pandemic, and post-9/11 military conflicts, which involved massive spending on stimulus and relief programs. So the summary: ultimately, the combination of mandatory spending that grows faster than the economy and insufficient revenue collection creates a challenging fiscal path. That's simple. So now let's finally get into these scriptures here. This is the book of Isaiah chapter 30 and verse 1. So this is in the ESV. Stubborn children, declares Yahweh, who carry out a plan but not by mine, but not mine, and who make an alliance but not of my spirit, that they may add sin to sin, who set out to go down to Egypt without asking for my direction, to take refuge in the protection of Pharaoh, and to seek shelter in the shadow of Egypt. And what's the modern day Egypt? Babylon the Great here in the United States of America. Therefore shall the protection of Pharaoh turn to your shame, and the shelter in the shadow of Egypt to your humiliation. You see that one? And a majority of our people, the Israelites, which would primarily consist of the so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, of course, as well as the other Israelites scattered abroad and those that look like the other nations. If you are holding on or cleaving on to the government of the United States of America or Babylon the Great, your respective captivities, wherever you may be, understand this. Here in the United States of America, or Babylon, of course, is going to be completely eradicated, and you're going to be having to eat pie very soon. And over the last few months, there was a trend of so-called black women running their freaking mouths, talking so reckless about so-called black men, and basically trying to talk down on them, saying that we're the most educated, and you so-called black men need to catch up. Well, no more than, I believe, a month later, did Trump start talking about, we're going to have to start calling in these loans, and you're going to have to start paying back these loans. And next thing you know, they're looking crazy, right? They're looking crazy because they're going to have to actually be held accountable for the amount of debt that you pulled out to go to your precious school. So nonetheless, you trusted in this Babylonian society, you got your degree, and guess what? The United States of America said that we don't even need you anymore. We're going to take your job or your position and replace you with artificial intelligence. And now you figure out how you're going to get your provisions, right? So again, therefore shall the protection of Pharaoh turn to your shame, and the shelter in the shadow of Egypt to your humiliation. And a lot of our people are going to be humiliated. The same ones that wanted to run their mouths about how secure their job was. Why? Because they had protections from the United States government. They had a nice little government job. And guess what? They're going to be made to eat crow if they haven't already with these different job cuts. This is Lamentation chapter 4 and 17 in the KJV. As for us, our eyes as yet failed for our vain help. In our watching, we have watched for a nation that could not save us. And that's exactly the United States of America, or Babylon the Great. Babylon the Great is not going to be able to save you. Elon Musk damn near said, basically, the United States can't even save itself. Let's get this in the NLT. Maybe it sounds even better. We looked in vain for our allies to come and save us, but we were looking to nations that could not help us. And America, or Babylon the Great, is indeed a nation that can't help you. The Edomites can't help you. They're set up to be destroyed. So why do you think they're going to be able to assist you? And do you think they would even assist you if they could? All right, let's go to Isaiah 47 and 12. Okay, here we go. Here. Isaiah 47 and verse 12. Stand now with thine enchantments, with the multitude of thy sorceries, wherein thou hast labored from thy youth. If so be, thou shalt be able to profit. If so be, thou mayest prevail. Talking about Babylon the Great, or Esau Edom. Thou art wearied in the multitude of thy counsels. Let now the astrologers, the stargazers, the monthly prognosticators stand up, and save thee from these things that shall come upon thee. Behold, they shall be as stubble, the fire shall burn them. They shall not deliver themselves from the power of the flame. There shall not be a coal to warm at, nor fire to sit before it. Thus shall they be unto thee with whom thou hast labored, even thy merchants from thy youth. They shall wander every one to his quarter. None shall save thee. Babylon the Great is slated for destruction, and there's no one, not even AI or damn, what is it called? The Sentinels, I believe that's what they're called in the Matrix. None of that is going to assist you. Habakkuk 2 and verse 6. I want to get this in the ESV. Here we go. This is the book of Habakkuk, chapter 2 and verse 6. Shall not all these take up their taunt against him, with scoffing and riddles for him, and say, woe to him who heaps up what is not his own? For how long? And loads himself with pledges. Will not your debtors suddenly arise, and those awake who will make you tremble? Then you will be spoiled for them. You see that one? You're gonna be a spoil for all these other nations, the ones that you're in debt to. Right? They're gonna call those things in. Nonetheless, let's continue. Because you have plundered many nations, all the remnant of the peoples shall plunder you. For the blood of man and violence to the earth, to cities and all who dwell in them. Woe to him who gets evil gain for his house, to set his nest on high, to be safe from the reach of harm. And like Vladimir Zelensky mentioned, I believe it was at the top of this year, Slovakia, not the top of this year, at the top of 2025, during that meeting, I believe it was like a couple months into after Trump was inaugurated. And nonetheless, this man said that, you have a big body of water in between you and Russia, and in between, you and me. And you might not be feeling war right now. You might not be feeling any kind of pain or suffering right now. But guess what? You are going to feel it. And that's why Trump and J.D. Vance got up in arms and got hella pissed off at him, man. Because they know he's right. All right? Nonetheless, again, woe to him who gets evil gain for his house, to set his nest on high, to be safe from the reach of harm. And Babylon the Great is not safe from the reach of harm. The Heavenly Father has a sharp destruction slated for them. Whether they like it or not, they're going to have to deal with it. Okay, nonetheless, Lord willing, this was edifying. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Kwarkadash. Again, double honors to my apostles and elders that came before me that brought me into this truth. This video has been Babylon is eating itself alive Elon Musk states the only thing that will save America is AI. Again, until next time, to the elect, I want to say shalom.